And I really had my heart set on living in Africa. So
you're willing to risk all that money?
yeah, I was really, but I am still learning the system.
Yeah.
And it's caused me to learn that innovation is not always the best business to get into when it comes to building in Ghana. Building a house, you know, we got some little tiny house that was built for us. And
I feel like we don't talk about that enough, about the losses that we have before the successes, you know. And so let's talk about your losses.
I was arrogant, and I was thought because I had so much experience in the space that I was in that I could take a business from the States and replicate it and come here. What I've been through could have easily sent you back home.
Yeah.
And,
for sure.
And never want to come back.
Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so today I have a special guest with me, Mr. Tyrone Jamar. Hey.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. So I'm really excited to talk to you today because it has been, I've interviewed you before.
Yeah,
that was a while ago. Do you remember how long ago?
A couple years ago.
It was a couple years ago.
Maybe 2 to 3, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And you were in a different space to where you are now. And so I wanted us to catch up with where you're at, what the things you have going on, your life in Ghana, your businesses, all of that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah? All right. So the last time I spoke to you, I remember you quietly told me that you had a clothing brand. And I was like, what do you mean you have a clothing brand? Like, you never mentioned it ever. Right. And then you just popped this thing out on me. So you have a clothing brand and it's called FUFUA.
Yes.
How's that going?
So FUFUA, we started off in a little garage in East of the Ghana.
I remember.
And it's grown, so now we have a tailoring factory. So FUFUA is Swahili for to awaken, or to rise up or come again. So basically, what we're doing is we're using indigenous African prints or fabrics, and we're turning them into popular fashion that we use in the West. Not only are we doing that, we're also doing traditional wears as well and custom orders. So it's grown from when you've seen it last. Now we have a little operation going.
Yeah, no, I have been really amazed because, I really do support your brands. I've modeled for you a couple of times, which I really enjoyed doing, by the way. And I have this FUFUA jacket, and it's so cool. It has a pink inside, and I wear it all the time. I love it. Right. But I have definitely seen the growth in how you've grown the business. And I want to know how you did that because, honestly speaking, there are so many tailor places where you can get things made, but it definitely feels like there is something unique about the brand that you have, especially looking at the images and things that you're putting out more recently. I'm like, this looks like high fashion stuff to me. How are you being able to do this? Are you a designer? Like, how are you managing to put this operation together? Right.
Well, all of us at FUFUA Designs, from the tailors to the CFO, Comfort, as well as myself, we all design. And obviously, it started from my designs and it evolved over time. Obviously, I see the world from a lens, but everybody else sees it a different way. So more variety and beautiful pieces come out when everybody's involved. And we started, there's so many tailoring shops here in Ghana. So I realized that there was some holes in the system. And one of the holes was consistency. So a lot of times what happens is you'll give, and I've been a victim of this myself, you give a piece of, fashion to a tailor and say, I want this done. When can I get it back? And they'll say, 2 weeks, boss. Next thing you know, a month has passed. And then you miss the event that item was even meant to be. And then 2 months pass. So there's really no consistency. The customer service is poor. And sometimes the quality can suffer because they're in a rush to try to push out different, pieces. So I said that I wanted to focus in on quality and customer service. And then also, I feel like the local shops, they are not focused on indigenous prints or the indigenous fabrics. And I feel like I want our people to really patronize that and to see the value in a piece of cloth. This is Kente that I have on now. So it's just as functional as any other piece of fabric, but it's handcrafted. And not only are you employing Ghanaians, but you're also wearing something that has history and value.
Okay. But wouldn't you say that Kente is quite a heavy cloth?
Yes, it is.
So are you able to wear it here?
Right. So for me personally, you have to wear Kente in traditional moments and then pieces. So our pieces are actually geared more to the Western world, the ones with indigenous pieces. So we'll make bomber jackets out of them, jerseys and different things. And we also there are some fabrics like batik and things that are lighter in weight, that are more functional for hotter climates. So we mix it up.
You know, one of the things that I've come across when it comes to tailors is they don't necessarily know how to work with different types of material.
Right.
Are your guys able to do that? Because I've heard stories where people come with, okay, I've got this maybe like cotton, and then can you make this? And then the person will say yes, and they can't, and then they ruin the material. So you can work with the different types of material.
Yes, we work with different materials from leather to cotton to different indigenous fabrics. We mix it up. And one thing that I do is constantly have them practice. So they practice on so many things, but as you know, from bags to jackets, I want them to feel comfortable being creative and using different fabrics. And one thing that we also do standard, like in the Western world, if we take your material, if you know there's something that happens, we're not going to try to avoid the conflict. We're going to say, hey, like, you know, we messed up or something happened. We have to refund you for that. But that's not something typical here. I've had times where I've got some expensive fabric and they messed it up. And then they're trying to tell you, oh, this is not what you asked for. I have the text message right here. There's a back and forth because they don't want to refund you the money. We do the same as the Western world where we're warranted. We would give refunds back, and our customer service is A1.
Right, awesome. So the last time we had a conversation on camera, you were living in Ghana, but now you're kind of like back and forth.
Right.
How are you still able to allow your business to run and grow as it has done, and still be going back and forth? Because most people that I know, if they have a business, they have to be here to micromanage. You have to be on top of, staff. But how are you able to do that?
Well, for me, obviously, when you met me, I was running the clinic full time. And I got into project management and kind of administration work through hospitals. So I had to bounce around, and that was very challenging for me to still do that and manage a monster like the clinic. It was so many moving pieces. So that was one adjustment that I had to make, was eliminate so many moving pieces. So the clinic had to be sold because I was not able. And then, there's three of us, three partners. And I was the one that was on the ground running it, and we were not rotating, obviously the way that we should have. So I had to give that up in order for me to function in Ghana. So the tailoring shop for FUFUA has already been in existence. The system, we have a good team, so I was able to manage that while I was abroad. And then now I'm involving myself in real estate, consulting, and then podcasting and YouTube now. So it's all about organization and a team, a strong team behind you.
So you're doing quite a number of different things here at the moment. So I want us to go back a bit because maybe some people didn't watch the original interview that we did. So when did you move to Ghana?
So I moved to Ghana, I would say roughly around 2018 because there were some hiccups on that year. But I've been in Ghana. There were a period of time where I went back and forth for some months. But since 2018, I would say.
Okay. And had you been to Ghana before you made that move?
No, we went to, so I came with, my brother's married to a Ghanaian.
Right.
So we were coming on vacation and with the mindset of being open to look for business opportunities. So when we came, I just decided to stay. I was like,
I'm not going back.
Right. I'd already unplugged from my previous job. They actually went out of business.
Oh, okay.
So it made it kind of easy for me. And I already had a large amount of savings saved up.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, let me stay here and learn the system a little bit. And we had an idea of a business that we wanted to get into, which was the clinic.
Right.
So I stayed for 2 years straight, learning and putting this together. You know.
Were you not afraid that, like, you're in a whole new terrain?
Right.
You really pretty much know nothing, don't really know a lot of people, but you had decided to make this major move. Did it not worry you at any point?
Well, originally, like my first, not my first, but for the longest period, I was a travel nurse. So a lot of people don't know that about me. I was a travel nurse for some years.
Yeah.
I think I became a nurse in 2008. I think I was only 19 years old when I first became a nurse. I jumped straight out of high school.
That's amazing.
I actually graduated high school early, but I went straight from that into nursing. Excuse me. But I went from that into nursing, and probably the second year after me nursing, I was bouncing around the U.S. from state to state doing travel nursing.
Wow.
And, grabbing the bag wherever I could. And I think that prepared me for travel. Not only that, vacationing a lot. I went to a lot of countries. Being a travel nurse, it frees you up. You know, you have contracts.
Yeah.
So you can work 3 months, take a break, and then, that's what we would do. We would take a break and go somewhere for some months, and then go back, find another contract in another state. And then before I moved to Ghana, I started getting more business minded. I'm like, okay, I'm generating a lot of savings a year. I'm tired of the United States. I'm hearing so many good things about the continent. Yeah. Let me start gearing my energy towards there. So.
Wow. Okay. So, did you have any worries about putting such huge amount of your savings into a business here, into a place that you didn't really know that much about? Did that worry you?
You know what? I think I'm not going to lie, there's always some level of worry. But I felt the risk was worth it. And it's just like going to college, sometimes you have to touch the fire to know that it's hot, And I realized that because I come from a background of a lot of my family members are in business. So I was willing to make that risk and learn from it. And I really had my heart set on living in Africa. So
you were really willing to risk all that money?
Yeah, we spread it out, but just learning the market. Even a large part of the clinic was some market research and marketing. I spent so much money on outreaches and everything to learn the system. And it's not something that, even though we did sell it, it's something I plan on coming back to, and I gathered so much intel from that. So when I come back to it, I'm going to know, I'm already going to know exactly how to move. Wow. But it has to be the right situation for me to get into that.
Yeah. How much money did you put into the clinic? That's a hard question, eh? He wasn't expecting that.
It's a lot of money.
Really?
Coming into Ghana to register a business to begin with, you're going to, if you're not a Ghanaian citizen, capital is going to, sometimes you need $500,000 in capital to start a business. We had I'm not going to get into exactly the number, but it wasn't just me also. There were 3 people.
Yeah.
So we set a large amount of money aside. And then also on top of that, there were people who were sending large amounts of money every month to make sure that we use it for outreaches and marketing and those things. So it was a lot of money spent.
Okay. So we've touched on FUFUA and then the clinic. What other businesses do you have going? Because I know, because we were friends, we are friends.
We are?
And so...
Am I learning something different? I'm joking.
Just breaking the news to you. So we are friends. So I know you have your hand in a lot of other things.
Right.
Tell us what some of the other things that you are, that you have going on right now.
So the clothing line... I will go back to also the clinic. The clinic, to me, obviously was a learning experience, but it wasn't a total loss to me. We were able to recoup some things, and then the knowledge that we got from that was massive. now that led me to, that itself led me into knowing that since I have my experience in Ghana, but I am still learning the system.
Yeah.
And it's caused me to learn that innovation is not always the best business to get into when it comes to building in Ghana. So now supply and demand is mainly the businesses I am interested in. So farming, real estate. So that pushed me into the real estate category. Okay. We were already acquiring pieces of land, my brother and myself. So we decided to, another story to get into later, but protect people from the scams and the things that happened to us, when we were wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
We lost some money on lands and also building. So we learned how to, monitor and build our own real estate so that, we wouldn't have to suffer from the same mistakes of just handing it to a company or handing it to an individual to do for you. So that's what caused me to start Ever Relia Trust, which is our real estate and development company.
Wow. Okay.
So the clothing line, we also have the ERT, and then I'm doing a podcast as well.
Yeah, so I've hijacked your space today.
Oh, and then let's not forget, now I'm also going to be, renting the podcasting space for those people who need equipment to run their podcast, or you need a building setup, or photography as well. We have all the tools necessary to help people with that.
You've got a really great setup here. It's really cool. Yeah. And I just wanted to touch on something you said. You talking about you lost some money. One thing about moving to Ghana, if you start any type of business here, you're going to lose some money. Right. It's just how much you're going to lose and how quickly you're going to realize that you're losing it before so you can stop the leak. Right. And so I don't want people to be dissuaded when they come to Ghana and it happens. It's probably happened to at least 90% of people. They've lost money somewhere along the line. You know, I feel like we don't talk about that enough, about the losses that we have before the successes, And so let's talk about your losses.
Yeah,
can we do that?
We can. I'm an open book. So first coming here, we lost money on land, building a house. We got some little tiny house that was built for us in poor quality. We ended up selling that.
At least you were able to sell it.
Yeah, but it was for the land, obviously, not for the structure. So,
right.
Also, buying medical supplies, we went with a person who worked for a medical supply company. Right. And we tasked him with the task of going to source all of our medical devices. So this individual ran to China and went to get our supplies. Yeah. Ran off with the money pretty much. He came back with some cheap counterfeit stuff, which we couldn't even use. And that was a lot of money in itself. And this was a family friend. So it was, the trust we thought was there. Yeah. So it wasn't like it was a random individual. But that even closed our mind to just family and business. You cannot mix the two. You have to literally handle everything professionally. Yeah. So that was a hard loss. The clinic itself, there was some wins and losses. We were able to recoup some of the money we invested in there. There was mismanagement due to me spreading myself thin. Yeah. I had so many projects I was managing. I know you see me just running around.
I remember one time I spoke to you and you were like, oh no, I slept in the clinic last night because I'm still working.
Right. Yeah, we were getting contracts. We were doing so many different things. What ended up happening when my full attention was not able to be there. And doing business in Ghana, if you're doing a business, especially a business that has a lot of moving pieces, you have to be present. Absolutely. And I was so busy chasing so many other things and letting other opportunities distract me. Yeah. It got to a point where the clinic got outside of me. So, at least we got to the point, because it was running for about 4 to 5 years. Yeah. where we got our national insurance. We got all the licenses and registrations that we needed, certificates, for another person to come in and acquire the clinic from us.
Right.
So we were saved by the bell with that one. But the experience, the wins were the experiences.
Yeah.
Losing that amount of money, I learned so much from those losses, and it was so painful. It wasn't like, something that you could have earned. These are like large sums of money that we lost. So it burnt so bad that I never will repeat those mistakes again.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? When things like that happen to you, you have to take them as learning curves. Otherwise, they were pointless, and that's what makes them useless. So if something like that happened to you and you learned from it, then you have an experience. So you're not going to make that same mistake again, as you said.
Right.
But I feel like you've learned so much in terms of business here that you can actually pass that information on to other people who would like to come. Maybe someone else wants to start a clinic or start some type of business. You have the insight because you've been there, you've done it, you've seen what can potentially go wrong. You have that experience.
Right. I will say this. I was a bit arrogant when I came down.
Arrogant, okay. Tell me.
So I was arrogant, and I was thought because I had so much experience in the space that I was in that I could take a business from the States and replicate it and come here. Being arrogant to think that you did not have to relearn a new culture or a new way of doing things. I thought I was going to be able to bring those systems over here and then just rock and roll, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And then also, there were people who I could have probably sought out who have experience in those spaces. And I just thought I knew it all, to be honest with you. And it's a powerful thing being humbled to see that, seeking consultation and mentors and these things, it is imperative.
Yeah.
Especially if you're running in a new place and you're taking on a large investment, a large project.
Yeah.
You need to get consultation, and you need to seek out those who have experience in that space.
I think that's really, really great advice, because honestly, that's one of the biggest downfalls of people, thinking that because you have experience in this field already, you can just pick up and bring it here. It doesn't work like that. You have to understand the system, the culture, all those things before you can start. I always advise people, when you come to Ghana, don't start your business immediately, even if you have everything ready to go. Understand the system first before jumping in. I mean, are there any other things that you would say that someone has to be on the lookout for before they get into a business? Any mistakes that you made that you think you should think about this before you do it?
Yeah, I would say we mentioned before in the past interviews that you have to take your time in Ghana.
Oh, yeah.
So me also being younger at the time was so ambitious and so impatient. So I'm like, I'm coming out, I'm growling. I'm coming in here like ready to knock it out the park, and had the mindset of, I'm coming to take over.
Yeah.
I was humble. So I feel like making sure you take your time. Take your time to do the market research. Take your time to consult with people.
Yeah.
Seek out mentors. These are all crucial steps when starting a business. And if you're okay with losing money, you can learn that way. Learn that way.
Lose your money with me, please.
Right.
Put it here. If you want to lose it, put the money here. I know what to do with it. Bring it.
I mean, you can learn that way if you have it to lose, but it's so much easier to speak to people who've been there and done it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's way different than what I expected. So I think those are the biggest advices that I could give to people.
Yeah.
And then also when it comes to building a business, sometimes it's better to form, I shouldn't even say sometimes, most of the time, you need to form your team.
Yeah.
I don't care if it takes you 2 years to form your team correctly. Form that team out to know who you're going to move and hit the ground with.
Right.
Because if you have a bunch of, sometimes people settle and they'll be like, oh, I need a salesperson. And they'll just grab somebody.
Yeah.
That person's inability, he's not, a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, he doesn't have the passion for your business. He's coming to collect that paycheck.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what quality of work do you think you're going to get out of that individual? And if their heart is not in it,
Yeah.
So form your team for people who actually have the passion for the business that you're creating, and then move.
That's great advice. So you were living here, and then you're doing a lot more back and forth.
Still living here, just I'm coming and going.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of back and forth right
now.
What made you transition to want to go back and forth rather than being here full time?
So my current plan is I'm taking contracts, right? So contracts with the hospital administration, different contracts that fall within my scope. Those contracts are able to earn me a lot more than what I can generate in Ghana. So what I'm currently doing is I'm running my operations on, I have a team that's helping me run my operations in Ghana, and I'm taking the money that I'm earning from the contracts and reinvesting.
Right.
So I've actually, I have a system for that. I wouldn't recommend that you take your money and you reinvest it without having people that you can trust to push the funds into different directions.
Okay.
If you don't have that, then you need to bring your butt here and spend time and spend the money. But once you get that system or that person or that company, whatever you have, you can now take that money and spread it out in Ghana. So that's my current thing that I'm doing now. It probably won't be for too much longer because my companies are growing. So once my companies grow to a certain point, then I will be here all the time without having to do contracts with different companies.
Okay. So I know recently you came and got your citizenship.
Yes.
Right. How did that come about, and why did you feel like it was important to get your citizenship here?
Originally, I missed out on the citizenship quite a few times. The ceremonies, I had my name was on the list for several years, and I kept missing the dates. So what will happen is once your name is on the list, they'll randomly call you and give you a short period of time to get here to do your interview questions and then meet the ceremony. I didn't feel like I had enough time before. And then I also operated under a resident permit, which still allowed me to pretty much do everything I needed to do business-wise. So I wasn't rushed about it.
Okay.
This last time just happened to kind of fall into place. And I was like, you know what? Like, it's been long enough. I need to make sure that I make this happen.
Yeah. But why did you feel like you had to have that? Apart from for business purposes, why did you feel like it was important?
To be honest with you, I feel Ghana is really my home. Ghana is going to be the place I retire. Ghana is going to be the place where everything, falls into place. So citizenship completes that journey.
Yeah.
Also, there are some benefits of having citizenship, such as longer terms for your land leasehold and things of that nature, and then less capital to enter into certain industries. So I've seen the advantages of having that.
So you've decided to start a podcast. What brought about wanting to do this right now?
Okay, so there's a couple people so my podcast is called Tyrone Jamar, and the point of it is to interview people who have experience in business in Ghana. I have a lot of experience in different industries, but I do not want to be the one who, I want you to be like, this information came from this individual.
Right.
So the point of the podcast is to interview these different people in different sectors and allow people who have that curiosity abroad to have their thirst, quenched basically with the knowledge that these individuals have. And I've seen that there's a gap in the space. There's a couple people who are doing it, but I think there's also a twist for those of my particular heritage as African American.
Right.
Hearing it from my mouth and from the style that I have, I thought was important to put out there. And also in my culture, there's a lot of reluctancy to do business in Africa. There's a lot of people are scared. They hear a lot of stories about scams. So just enlightening people and making them feel more comfortable with the idea of doing business in Africa and Ghana. And then I want the channel to grow. So I want to be doing business across the continent and being able to share my experiences to those abroad and inspiring those to come back to do business.
So what is your big goal right now? Everybody has a big goal. What is your goal right now? What do you want to achieve?
So I have a lot of goals. So full self-sustainability is my primary goal. So living in Ghana and not having to worry about where I'm pulling my income from. So that having a farm, having a house in the middle of, I actually don't want to live in the city.
Okay.
So a serene place, where I can kick back and all my essentials are taken care of. That's primary number one. But two is to do business all over the continent and also encourage those abroad to come and do business and be able to consult with individuals and help their ease. I want to I really do want to save people money and save people some of the pains that I've had to experience, because it can be discouraging.
Absolutely.
For somebody who hasn't been through through as much as I have been through. What I've been through could have easily sent you back home and
for sure.
And never want to come back, right?
Much less,
and never want to come back again.
Yeah.
So I want to save people those experiences, help them avoid those obstacles.
Okay, that's great. All right, so now that you have established all these businesses and things, where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years' time?
I would say in 5 years' time, I would have opened up Ever Relier Trust, which is my development company, in another African country.
Okay.
So not just Ghana, but being able to help someone build in another country. I don't know which country yet, but I want to be opening up another office in another country in Africa.
Lovely. Okay. So tell me, just before we end the video, tell me what advice would you give to somebody that is thinking about moving to Ghana, doesn't really know where to start, but wants to do some type of business? What sort of advice would you give them?
I would say take your time, number one. Make sure you take your time. Make sure you come here first and learn the culture. Yeah. Then you can kind of get a feel of whether this idea may take root or not. Innovation is not always welcomed, I should say.
Yeah.
You may think it's innovation to someone else in another country. They may think, like, this is not needed. We don't want this here.
We don't need this. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I would say. Then form your team.
Yeah.
Make sure you get trusted individuals or a company that you're working with to help, put those ideas into place.
Okay. Great advice. I love that. All right. So where can people find you if they want to maybe learn a bit more from you, or they want to know a bit more about your businesses, or where can they find you?
Well, they can find me. My Instagram is called Tyrone Jamar. The Call Tyrone Jamar podcast is a good place to go and kind of see, not only my progress, but also other people's progress of others who are doing business.
Yeah.
I will be doing consulting so that, you can look me up on Instagram and get that in my handles, all of my endeavors that I'm doing right now.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. I'm really proud of your progress and your resilience to stay in Ghana and just keep pushing. Even though you've had many losses, you've had wins as well. And, you've stuck at it. And I know many people that have come to Ghana and have not been able to push through, but you have been able to do that. And so I really commend you for that. I'm really, really proud of what you're doing. You're doing amazing.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show.
That's all right. Okay, guys, please, please, please head over, support Tyrone's new channel called Tyrone Jamar. Is that right?
Correct.
Got it right. Head over, support. You can learn from him, follow what he's doing. I'm telling you, he's been here a while. I've seen the things that he's doing. He's doing amazing things, so definitely follow his journey. And also, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Papa.